AI is rewriting the business playbook, with productivity boosts and faster decision-making coming to every industry. If you're not thinking about AI, you can bet your competition is. This is not where you want to drop the ball. But AI requires a lot of compute power. And with most cloud platforms, the cost for your AI workloads can spiral. That is, unless you're running on OCI, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. This was the cloud built for AI, a blazing fast enterprise-grade platform for your infrastructure, database, apps, and all your AI workloads. OCI costs 50% less than other major hyperscalers for compute, 70% less for storage, and 80% less for networking. Thousands of businesses have already scored with OCI, including Vodafone, Thomson Reuters, and Suno AI. Now the ball's in your court.
Right now, Oracle can cut your current cloud bill in half if you move to OCI. Minimum financial commitment and other terms apply. Offer ends March 31st. See if your company qualifies for this special offer at oracle.com/strategic. That's oracle.com/strategic.
This is what you do when you have high standards and fancy all the fancy things, like a Dior saddlebag or that diamond tennis bracelet. You go to eBay. There you'll find new loves that will never disappoint, expertly authenticated. Whether it's that vintage pearl necklace or brand new ruby earrings, a Prada crossbody bag, or classic watches like that Rolex Oyster or that Cartier tank. On eBay, there are no limits to your high standards. Yeah, eBay, the place for new, pre-loved, vintage, and rare fashion. eBay, things people love.
Have you ever brought your magic to Walt Disney World like, hey, we came to play? Did you tip your tiara to a Creole princess or get goofy officially? Step up like a boss and save the day? Or see what life's like under the tree of life? Did you? If you could. Would you? When we come through, it's true magic, 'cause we came to play. Bring the magic at Walt Disney World Resort.
Where'd you get those shoes? Easy. They're from DSW. Because DSW has the exact right shoes for whatever you're into right now. You know, like the sneakers that make office hours feel like happy hour. The boots that turn grocery aisles into runways. And all the styles that show off the many sides of you, from daydreamer to multitasker and everything in between. Because you do it all in really great shoes. Find a shoe for every you at your DSW store or dsw.com.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel Zoe, and you're listening to Climbing in Heels for your weekly dose of glamour, inspiration, and fun. I'm out this week, but wanted to reshare one of my very favorite episodes with all of you. Enjoy one of my favorite fashion episodes in case you missed it. Today on the pod, I'm talking to one of the most talented and badass celebrity stylists, Dani Michelle. Her clients include just a few people that you've heard of: Hailey Bieber, Kendall Jenner, Elsa Hosk, just to name a few. Dani has carved out a pretty incredible career in fashion, and her story is so inspiring in general, but of course, especially if you are interested in fashion, styling, or just the editorial world. Her new jewelry line, Mega, is so perfect. I literally wear her pieces almost every day. I always love chatting with another stylist. It's really just like revisiting, you know, my past. And I just love her passion. I love her love for the game, her work ethic. She's so impressive. So let's get into it. So I just want to first, without digging too much into your early beginnings, like what on earth made you start to do this? And like at what point, like where did you grow up, first of all?
So I grew up really in Potomac, Maryland, but I went to school in DC. My friends lived in DC. I worked in DC. So I felt like DC was my home. It's what I always say. And so I'm an East Coast girl.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. that definitely makes sense. But by the way, sorry, DC, but I would never consider it a fashion city.
No. However, I really think that it plays a huge role in my perspective in fashion because we had a huge music scene. So it was like the minute I could rebel, and I had a very like liberal high school. So we were going to concerts on Tuesday nights of like some of the best bands, like things, people that headlined Coachella, 2008, 2010 were like, I was in a small 100-person little room with them. Mm-hmm. And so I had this huge like influence of music. And then at the same time, I had this really like manicured, sophisticated perspective of like, you know, a very proper upbringing. Mm-hmm. So I feel like those two definitions of being like really poised and polished, and then also being like a rebel and unique, like come together. And that was a huge part of being in DC for me.
So you come from a family that's a little more like traditional and proper.
Oh yeah. Like holidays, like skirts had to be below my knees. Like nothing could show from like neck to anywhere. Like
stop
handshakes, eye contact, elbows off the table, you know.
Really?
Like, yeah.
Okay. See, I would never get that. I would never get that from you. You do not give off that vibe.
My family was Southern, and it was just like very high expectations of like, you know, where you come from and how you need to act like a lady, and in a really positive way, you know, with really strong ethics and morals, you know,
which quite frankly, I crave. And, you know, I actually took my kids out of a very progressive school and put them in a very traditional school because I actually really, I love manners. I do. I love manners, and I love when people look at you when you say hello to them. I do like that. I do. But I do think I think there's a balance, you know. I think there's a balance.
Yeah, like I think the kids that I don't want to speak to people that like I feel like you always rebel from what,
of course,
you know, like,
of course,
whatever you were.
But of course,
I think that as long as we started in a really like if we had a really good upbringing, then you find your path where you're supposed to be, and you go somewhere. You find your own world.
Okay.
But I really loved my upbringing, and I'm super grateful for that space that it gave me.
And so when did you leave DC, Maryland? Like, were you like, I'm out of here, I don't want to live here forever? Or were you like, maybe I should try?
I went to the same school from kindergarten till I was 18 to senior year. And then I went to university. I was going to go to NYU. I was like, NYU, that's what I
Me too.
That's all.
Me too.
And then I went to you. Did you go to NYU?
No, my parents wouldn't let me. They said, New York's not going anywhere. See it when you get back. You're not staying here.
Where'd you go?
I went to George Washington because they were like, I said, okay, I'll go to LA. And they were like, fuck, no, you're not. They were like, because you will never come home. We will never see you again. Absolutely not. So like, no New York City and no LA. So I was like, okay. What'd you say?
Where are you from?
I'm from New York and New Jersey, from Short Hills.
Okay. Oh my God. So my mom moved to Livingston. So I know
next door. You know it. Oh my God. That's so funny. That's why.
So I went to just to like hang out with a friend that was already in college. And I got to this campus that was like straight out. It looked like Saved by the Bell to me. I was like, oh my God, grass and palm trees and fountains. And I was like, I'm living Saved by the Bell to college.
Literally. Yep.
So I went there and loved it. I made like great friends that I'm still girlfriends with today, and had like an awesome experience because it was very like in a city. So we went to Miami all the time, and I feel like I had this like beautiful few years where I was like partly a child and partly an adult. You know, I had a job and I went out and I was in the city, but then I also like fell back into my college life and college campus and it was the perfect mix, I feel like, of like transition from child to adult.
That's what I always say about college, to be honest. For me, like the biggest purpose that college served for me was growing up, like learning to be like independent, because otherwise you go from being a kid kind of owned and governed by your parents into the real world. Right. Yeah. And you're like, you know, like, so.
And just go to these, and again, not to speak on someone else's experience, but like if you're just in these small towns where you just live a school life, it probably is like a shock to live like adult life versus school life. And I really also love, you know, I believe everything happens as it should. And I think that it was a great school for me as far as the transition of my life.
And then you were like, okay, so New York, here I come. I'm coming.
Then I was like, okay, I'm going to go to New York because everyone from DC goes to New York. That's like the natural progression.
Of course.
And I had interned in New York. At the time, I got an internship at 17 magazine, which was like, 20 years ago, that was it. And
I was at like, YM. So yeah. Like,
why? Oh my God.
That was it's my only job I ever had. My only job I ever had. I worked at I worked at YM Magazine, and I started as a fashion assistant in the closet 3 days a week. And then I left as senior fashion editor, and I went freelance at 25. Mm-hmm. Only job I ever had.
It was 17. I was in the accessories department. And one day, like, I was the first to get there, the last one to leave, not because I was trying to prove something, just because I was like so into it.
Mm-hmm.
And one day they had to bring someone to set, and they were like, she's coming to set. And I didn't even know what the word set meant. I was like, okay, and I got to set, and someone was, they were having a photo shoot. They were dressing, the models. And I was like, this is a job, like, to tell people what to wear.
It's
like,
called the sitting. At the time, it was the sittings editor.
Yeah. And I wanted to write that magazine. That's like what I really had wanted to do. I love writing. And that's where I thought my career would go. And I would work at a magazine, because I thought if you wanted to work in fashion, you wrote for a magazine. I don't know how the photos got there. I don't even know what I thought. But and I think that when you and I spoke, like, it was such a different time that, like, no one talked about a stylist. We didn't know what it was. And your show, which was in 2008, was the year I graduated. It all came at this like perfect storm of like, I knew I wanted to be it. And then you showed the world what it was. And you kind of created this lane for us for it to be spoken about. So at that point, when I was interning, is when I learned about being a stylist. And I was like, okay, that's what I'll go do. And that's what I want to do. And I'll do that in New York. But before I do that, like, I'm going to go to like LA and have 1 year in LA, kind of like before I become an adult, like transition from like, I just felt like I was going to have this 1 year. And then I've never left. It's been over 10 years. I've never left.
No way. And were you single? Were you single when you came to LA?
I had never been here before. Did not know one person here.
Get out of here.
Yeah. And I got this apartment off of MySpace. This girl had this really great, like, fashion music MySpace blog. And I was like, she needed a roommate, and I took the spot.
How wild is that? See, when I moved here, I had a whole life here, because I moved here because I was spending like 80% of my time here styling. So I was like, why am I going back and forth? I've always wanted to live here. And here I am 20 years later. So it kind of eats you that way.
It's crazy that you're interviewing me, because the first time we met, like, I was asking you a million questions, and
you were so
I hope there's an episode where you've told your whole story so I can go watch it, because for like a week I like kept thinking about everything you were saying. Your story is so incredible and so just like, legendary. Really, the experience you have is so legendary. And when you write a book, I will be the first to buy it or whatever.
I have too. That's what I'm sending you. When we hang up, I'm going to send you Style A to Z and Living in Style. And
no. I have Style A to Z. I bought that because that came out what, a decade ago?
It came out when you graduated. It came out, I think, my first book, I want to say it was 2008 or 2009, and then 2012 or 13, because I was pregnant with Caius. So I definitely
bought your first book.
You mean my next book?
Yeah, like, is there a book where you tell? I don't remember what that book was, but
I don't think I have. Everyone wants me to do a tell-all, but it's like I'd get arrested. I can't. Like, I could do one without names, or I could
do all the names.
Just
tell us the story.
Here's the thing. It's interesting because it is kind of interesting because it's very similar. My story is similar to yours in the way that I didn't really know what I wanted to do, right? And so then I think at the end of the day, I sort of fell into it, fell in love with it, definitely did not know what a stylist was. And to your point, the reason I started the show was because it was actually the last thing I said I'd ever do, right? Like, never in any life would I want a camera on me, like put it on the client. That's what I do. And then I was like, you know what? Why is everyone so confused about this industry? Like, there has to be some democratization of what this is. It has to be more relatable to more people, and I have to explain the genius of the designers behind the curtain, because they are genius, and that's why everybody looks this way, and so I don't know, that was sort of the goal of it. And I think for me to hear you and so many other amazing, young stylists that I adore sort of want to or be more motivated to become a stylist from that is like, for me, there's no better reward that I could get for ever doing it, because it's a hard 5 years, but it was not easy to
It's
do
remarkable
that.
though. Like,
You're so sweet.
It's just really unbelievable. Like, even for me, like, it's like, for me, it is not past me that I'm speaking to like the legend herself.
You're
right
the
now.
cutest. Well, let's talk about you. So, okay. So here you are, you graduate, you move to LA, and you basically think you're going for a year to just do this and become a stylist because now that you've figured out what it is. So you move to LA, you get this room from a rando person on MySpace, which is just, wild. But people do that. I mean, listen, Jen Atkins' story. She like rolled here in a car and was like with like $300 or something and like lived in her car. And here she is. Like, you didn't even know, like you didn't have a client at that point. So like, what are you doing? And by the way, wait, important question here, because I think this is very important. Like, you didn't have a client, right? You came to LA, because to me, that's actually terrifying. And your parents, were they like, my daughter's lost her mind? Like, because a lot of parents do not support the insanity, right? But you have the bug, right? And, you said you didn't really go by the same rules. So you sort of were like, so you're this like wild fashion card.
I think that, I know that I've always been so driven, and I've always like sought after something and like, and made it happen.
Yeah.
I think that my mom trusted that she raised me well and that I would make the right decisions. And that if this was something I was after, she would encourage me to chase whatever I was looking for.
Right.
We were speaking every day. She was the phone call I made every day. She knew what I was doing. And I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew that like, I wanted to see this part of my life, because I kind of felt that I was going to go to New York, get an apartment, get a life, and like just live a New York life. I was like, before I just start my entire next chapter of my life, let me have like one little adventure. And she supported that. I don't think anyone thought I wasn't coming back. Like no one thought I was just going to LA for a year, but I moved here. And then, listen, everything I always believe like happens for a reason at its right time. And like randomly, the neighbor in the building worked at the Jim Henson lot and was like, there's a stylist that needs an assistant. And I don't know if you know Michelle Tomaszewski. Anyone who does know or has worked with her, she is like one of the nicest human beings. I was like blessed with this like incredible human she threw me in the deep end. We were doing, her client was the Jonas Brothers, and they were like,
on fire.
They were on fire.
It was like my Backstreet Boys.
Literally. Yeah. And it was, talk shows, music videos, photo shoots, like, private planes, everything. It was just like at the top level, immediately in the deep end. And she was just like the nicest human that did business the right way. And everywhere I went, I would be like, hi, I'm here for Michelle. And they'd be like, oh, we love her. Like, isn't she the best?
Amazing.
Like, Michelle. And I saw that respect, and I respected her even more. The way that she treated me, the way she treated other people, the way that her reputation. Like, I was like, I was just so in awe. It made me want to work so much harder. All I wanted to do was like be the best I could for her, because she was being the best she could be. And it was just like the best environment. I learned so much. And like still today, when she like likes my photos, and I'm like, you're still cheering me on.
That's the dream, by the way. Well, it's the dream to have someone like you, and then in turn to support and cheer for you when you fly.
I knew that's like exactly how I wanted to be. And I've really never like faltered from that. It's like being kind is like the number one thing on my like requirement list.
Should always be. And should never change, no matter how brutal it could get and does get. You have to like.
I truly believe like yelling at someone doesn't make them want to like work harder. It probably shuts people down, and like getting mad, it doesn't bring anything positive, right? You have to work through it, find solutions. You have to encourage them, like say like, it's okay moving forward. Like, just work to be your best team, your best self. And like, I think that will, in my opinion, push people to then be their best selves, you know?
Well, yeah, it didn't in my case, but but I'm so happy it does for you, because I'm hoping that it's a bit of a new world. For me, it's so fun to watch you do your thing because, you know, I hadn't known you. And then when I met you, I was like, she's such like a cutie. Like she's so, meaning like for me, it's, you know, people always ask me like, how did you become Rachel's? And I don't know any of that other than I loved it so much that it was all I could do. Right. And so when I meet someone like you, I get so sort of like, there's people that do things because it's a job and there's people that do things because they live and die for it, you know? And I think that there's a different way that people motivated by the passion and genuine love for the job end up working, right? And truthfully end up succeeding, right? And so I think with you, it's very obvious that you love it. But, you know, I do want to point out for our listeners that, like, you know, without name dropping, I'm going to just name a few, but like, you know, Dani, Stylist, Kendall Jenner, I mean, casual, Hailey Bieber, and like all those looks that you see popped and run all over the world that everybody copies is done by you. And so
we collab together. My girls are like,
no, of
so
course.
And you know that,
yes,
that vibe, but we are, I couldn't even believe if you told me this was going to be my life, I wouldn't believe you.
I think it says a lot because I think that when the girls, and look, they do definitely have their own sense of style, and it is a collaboration as it should be, right? As it should be. Because I don't think you'd love just like someone walking in and be like, I'm closing my eyes, put clothes on me. Like, you know, because I did in fact have a client like that. And I love her.
They definitely exist. But what I say to that though, is that like, they're so focused in the lane that they're in, whether it's like writing music or
secondary,
or whatever they do. Yeah, that the clothes to the carpet, that's just a means that so they can arrive and do their job, which is talk about their music or their film or whatever. Yep. And the same way that they're not passionate about the art of like fashion, it's the same way I can't read music notes or like could never remember a line for a film. Like everyone has
100%. 100%.
So there definitely are those people that are like, just tell me what's happening right now.
Yeah.
What I'm wearing.
So what?
Well, you create with.
So what are like, were there ever any moments, so you end up coming here, you never leave, you end up working for Michelle, which is the dream, to work for an incredible stylist, because I always say like, it's boot camp, right? And especially when you work in music specifically, it's boot camp. That was my that was honestly my training. I went freelance and right into Britney and Backstreet and Jessica Simpson and NSYNC and all of that and Enrique. And it was just like, as you said, like limitless budgets, music videos, album covers, private planes. You're going to Monaco for 24 hours. You're flying here for 3 hours. Then you're getting back. It was like, I definitely aged like 20 years in 5 years, and I definitely didn't sleep. And it was the most insane amount of money. It was the most insane, like, working out. It was just always working, right? And, but I will say it was the grad school. It was the grad school for styling. It was, because you had to be prepared for everything, right?
Yeah, I want to hear those stories, Rachel. So bad. So bad.
There are so many stories. There are so many stories.
All, which is crazy. Like, someone just asked me something yesterday, and I'm like I can't. There was a country I've been to Croatia, and I can't even remember going to Croatia.
Oh my God, that happened to me the other day. Someone was like, "Oh my God, I'm dying to go to Prague," and then literally, like, someone goes, "Rachel, didn't you go there for like a Brad Pitt shoot?" And I'm like, "I did. I actually went there. I did go there. I was there for 2 weeks. What was your favorite part?" I'm like, I remember a bridge and a hotel. And literally that's it. A bridge and a hotel.
There's so much. I always say is that because we're like so detail oriented, like in my office, there's thousands of pieces, and I could like tell you a backstory about each one of the things, what job they came from. Like sometimes when we do like purges, and I'm like, no, you guys. I'm like, this piece. And like, I have such insane short term. Like, there is nothing you could ask me that I wouldn't know going on, that I think that it's like for my long term has like,
gone away. It won't come back to you till people interview you. Like, And all of a sudden it's a little bit of like, this is your life. Like they'll be like, Rachel, you did this and you did this album and you were here dressing them for this. And I'm like, I was. You're right. I was. You're absolutely right. I was. And it's so funny. Like sometimes you have those moments, but it did teach me sort of like as I move forward in work, like try to experience it. You know what I mean? But it's hard. You can't because it's like this. And especially when, being a stylist, you're in the service business, right? So it's you almost take your whole self out. You just go, what do you need? Who needs this? Blah, da, 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 right? Like, and it's like flashes of light.
That honestly is like such an important sentence. So I think a lot of people forget that like
I know
service business
they do.
From the perspective of like how hard we give. Like sometimes when I come home, I'm just so drained because my whole day is emotionally, mentally, and creatively giving to other people. And I think that also like for the younger generation that forgets like this is a really hard job. It is really hard, difficult. And I think that going back to what you said, it's like only the people that like are really passionate about it and that are not just chasing the money, but chasing their creativity and their relationships and the connections and like the moments is like when they'll succeed because you have to give it 110% and it takes a lot out of you. Yep. So it's like, you have to be really dedicated and really want it and really care.
And you are married, correct?
I am.
Tell me everything. So where did you meet Prince Charming?
We met, it's like another whole podcast on itself. So I'll keep it really short. It's that we met at a dinner party. I was on a first date and he was on a second date. I showed up like on the back of this motorcycle, this Italian man. And he was like, I came out, no, Rachel, I took the helmet off. I like shook my hair. So like my hair wasn't flat. And he saw me and he was like, I want a woman like that one day. And I saw him, he did this magic trick. And I was like,
he did a magic trick?
Yeah, he did a magic trick on me while using his date as like his helper, So she was like, I knew you always had a thing for her. But either way, that night we like super connected, but we stayed dating our people. It went on for about a year. Finally, about a year later, it was after like a fashion event that we ran into each other. I was like, I'm going to Hemingway's. And I was like, you should come. And I was like, live a little bit. And he came and we like danced all night. And then we had told each other that we had feelings for each other. And then eventually I told the guy that I was dating, I said like, I'm so sorry I have feelings for someone else. And he was like, and he was such a beautiful human. And he was so like, it was exactly what I needed that time in my life. And I'm so grateful for that relationship. But he was like, you know what? He was like, I see that for you. And I think that you're going to marry him. And I was like, oh, he like totally gave me his blessing. And then fast forward, we got married.
That's wild.
What he said, he goes, he either said, I think you're going to have his baby one day, or I think you're going to get married. One of the two. He did one of those things, but gave me full blessing.
Wow. And you did have a baby.
Yeah, we had a baby.
A boy, right?
3, yeah.
Oh my God.
Which I also asked you about when we met, because I was like so sure that I needed to have a girl, and having a boy is like the greatest thing that's ever happened to me.
It's a love affair that is indescribable. I don't know what else to say.
Believable. And he just entered the cuddle phase. He's never wanted to cuddle. It started 2 nights ago. I just got like my first like in bed,
like under the arm, like wrapped around you.
Yes, like mommy bear, baby bear, cuddle in. This morning I got out of bed. He literally said, "Don't leave me here." Like it just happened 2 nights ago, and it's like incredible.
Well, I'm going to make you feel better. Mine is almost 13, and my little one is just turned 10, and they're both under my arm, still wrapped around me, literally every night and every morning. I will do it until they go to college if they let me. I will. I'm such a sicko. I literally cannot let go of them. They make everything better. They make me just happy. They actually told me that I should go back to styling. They go, Mommy, the way you talk about styling, Mommy, you should do it again someday. And and it's funny. They go, you style us, but I feel like you probably want to put pretty long dresses on.
Stop.
This is what you do when you have high standards and fancy all the fancy things, like an iconic Dior saddle bag or that diamond tennis bracelet. You go to eBay. There you'll find new loves that will never disappoint, expertly authenticated and everything. Whether it's that vintage pearl necklace or brand new ruby earrings, a Prada crossbody bag to be besties with your other handbags, even an eternally classic watch like that Rolex Oyster or that Cartier Tank. You know the one. And when you find it, eBay has their experts' eyes to make sure you're getting the real deal. That way you can be confident that the designer finds you came for, the luxury wardrobe you've always wanted, it's all real. In fact, it's verified authentic. So bring your high standards and never limit what you can find. Yeah, eBay, the place for new, pre-loved, vintage, and rare fashion. eBay, things people love.
Are you still quoting 30-year-old movies? Have you said cool beans in the past 90 days? Do you think Discover isn't widely accepted? If this sounds like you, you're stuck in the past. Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. And every time you make a purchase with your card, you automatically earn cash back. Welcome to the now. It pays to Discover. Learn more at discover.com/creditcard. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Have you ever brought your magic to Walt Disney World like, hey, we came to play? Did you tip your tiara to a Creole princess or get goofy officially? Step up like a boss and save the day? Or see what life's like under the tree of life? Did you? If you could. Would you? When we come through, it's true magic. 'Cause we came to play. Bring the magic at Walt Disney World Resort.
During tax season, your sensitive info does a lot of traveling to places you can't control. Stopping off at payroll, your accountant or tax preparer, and countless other data centers on its way to the IRS. Any of them can expose you to identity theft because they all have the info on your W-2, just the ticket for criminals to steal your identity. No wonder the IRS reported tax fraud due to identity theft went up 20% last year. You need LifeLock. They monitor millions of data points per second and alert you to threats you could miss. If your identity is stolen, LifeLock's U.S.-based restoration specialists will fix it, backed by the $1 Million Protection Package. And restoration is guaranteed, or your money back. Don't let identity thieves take you for a ride. Get LifeLock protection for tax season and beyond. Join now and save up to 40% your first year. Call 1-800-LifeLock and use promo code IHEART or go to lifelock.com/iHeart for 40% off. Terms apply.
So sweet.
Well, they haven't seen my show. Skylar's begging me to watch it. And I'm like, oh,
stop.
I don't think I'm there yet. I think there's too much, you know.
I have gone back. Like, I think after I met you that night, I was like, go back. I was like, I'm going to go watch an episode.
It's wild.
Blood in your studio and the dresses got wet.
Mm-hmm. That was one of the worst days of my life. It was one of the worst days of my life. And, there were many, but when it rained on the globes and I had 5 clients in long gowns and then every single picture of every single one of them was holding an umbrella, holding the train up. And I was like, I quit. It's so weird because I had so much of my life and my emotion. I think if I watch it, it's just going to be like a this is your life kind of thing. Because like you said, it's a bit of a blackout. For me, the show, it was such a hard thing to do because I was working like you're working now, right? I was styling, but I was also I started my media business and these other things, but then I had to shoot the show 5 days a week. And it was sort of it took 9 months, And so it was just mental. And I would just be like, I need to work. I actually need to do my job, But in hindsight, what it meant to people and what it did for people, for me, makes every bit of it worth it, truthfully. Because it really, to know that it had an impact on, people like you or people going through the hardest time in their lives and couldn't get out of bed, things like that, for me, helped me reprioritize the purpose of what I was doing. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think it definitely, I think in hindsight, really helped redirect and focus my real mission for everything I do in my job and for the brand and everything about it and what I want to always do for women. Right. And so I think with styling, I just felt like it was, like you said, it was like this unknown thing, right? And so I think for people like you now that are bringing, you know, these women that are so, they love you and they support you, right? And these girls are like your friends. And I think, you know, it's such an intimate relationship being a stylist. And I was so personally invested in it, you know? And like you said, I think it's hard because I think when you love it that much and you care about it that much and you care about the people so much, right? It's like, it's not a fake best friend, right? It's like you're in there, you're in the studio. Like I would sit with my clients till 3 a.m. and we would have like, you know, champagne to tea to breakfast to this to that and like 40 outfits later and like play dress up and all the things. And then, you know, and then these looks would come out of it, like born out of those moments, you know? And it's incredibly rewarding, you know, in the sense of like when your client looks at you and was like, we did it. Or like, I've never felt so beautiful. Or like, that was a great one. Or like, you know, aren't those the pinch me moments? For me, those were the pinch me moments, you know?
1000%. I always say that, like, for me, the only, like, I don't read comments. I don't read like,
no,
any
you
of
can't. You can't.
I really don't. The only thing that matters to me is that they're happy.
Sure.
And when they tell you that they're happy or they felt like $1 million the other day or like we slay, like any of those things, I like, that's when I'm just like, oh, like it'll change my whole day. Like I am so happy when they're happy. And like, I know like that's a sign of like real love, you know, and it's just like.
Listen, I think at the end of the day, you're living your dream. Now you launched a jewelry line called Mega, which I personally love. And like I literally opened it and put it on. And so I think now, like obviously starting the jewelry line, you're starting to, I think, look at, okay, so what's another passion and what am I doing, right? Because it's a big jump, right? Like whenever you start to divert from what you're doing, you're like, okay, this is scary, but I'm doing it.
It felt like the right thing for me because I really feel like I found my place in fashion where I'm supposed to be. I think that creating a fashion line would have been, it would have been so conflicting to my creativity. And I think that I've always been passionate about jewelry. For me, like it's super sentimental and it's what I've like splurged on when I like want something to like signify something. Like for me, I asked for jewelry for graduation, for, you know, my 30th birthday, for my 35th birthday, anything that's significant to me, my push gift, Valentine's Day, like all I want are a little, I get usually like a ring or something. Cause I feel like I would stack them all up. Right. Each of those little pieces were like memories and accomplishments and meaningful parts of my timeline. And that's how it really started with me stacking a bunch of rings because everything really had a backstory of like a meaning to me. And I just felt like, you know, my mom is a jewelry designer for the past 10 years. She pivoted after she sold her business. And it just always felt like something sentimental and personal to me. And it felt like just a no-brainer of like where I should be and what I should be doing. And so my mom and I partnered on this together. She does all production and I do creative, and we bounce obviously like ideas together, but she's my friend.
So fun.
It's
that
really
is
exciting.
So much fun. I did not know that.
We even talk more every day, so it's great.
I did not know that. So why the name Mega?
So Vogue had called me a megawatt stylist, and that was like one of those like, moments where I was like, "Did you read that?" You know? and I even had to like Google it. I was like, "What does megawatt mean?" Because I know this sounds like you know, title, but like let me just read into it. And it was after that article where I was like, what am I doing with myself? Like, what is next? You know? And so when I was putting together all my creative boards and, you know, every folder, I would just put Mega because that's just kind of like, that was like that moment where I was like, okay, let's do something. And so all of my folders, and we did so much like, you know, those like name searching diagrams. I mean, I was doing French, I was doing, and we did Mega in French, but I speak French and I was doing Italian. I was doing everything. And I was just trying to find the right word. And I kept coming back to Mega because for me, it just felt like so like larger than life, one of a kind, strong, bold, like the 4 letters was just so crisp to me. And it felt like who the woman was someone that was like minimal but strong and bold and confident, and just felt right. So I did so much searching, and I just came back to that word.
I love
it.
it.
You're so sweet. One day I hope I'll get to like ask you more questions or something.
You can ask me anything, anytime. Seriously, anytime. We'll go for a glass of champs and talk the talk. Talk the talk, because God, there's talk. But yeah, I promise to do that. Deal?
I think that if I could like leave with like one idea of like this business, I feel like I always like struggle with like what I could do to like share my story, because I can't even tell you how many people, like probably once a week I get an email that's like,
how do I become you?
For like my store, I mean, for my school project, or like, could I just ask you what, you know, like what your experience was? Like, I know that there's so many people dying to hear these stories, and nonetheless, I could never have each of these individual conversations. I always try to think about like what platform I could share like the true story with. And I think that one of the questions when we were discussing like what we would talk about was just like, what are your 3 pieces of advice? And I feel like if I could just share with the kiddos, I feel like the 3 things is like for me, which have really been like tried and true, is like to be kind, you know, is that I think that when people let their ego change, like what their intention is, you know, these relationships with your team, with the showrooms, with the stores, with the designers, with your clients, with their assistants, like all of these relationships is what crafts your entire business, right? It crafts who you are, where you will go, and what you will succeed with. And I just feel like sometimes people forget, they think that they're better than someone, or that they're in a different position than someone. And like, we are all in a web working together, and it would not be possible without each of those people. If the designers weren't making the clothes, if the showrooms weren't repping them, if the store associates weren't helping you, if the assistant wasn't scheduling the fitting, like we are all in this together, and we have to treat everyone with like kindness and respect. And like that, those relationships will lead to like your success in a genuine way. Like you have to really care from your heart. If you don't, like it just won't be genuine. But when you really do care and you really find that respect for everyone, like that is so pivotal, I think, to success. I always say, like, give everything. Go ahead.
No, I want to comment on that, because the best of the best are always the kindest. And I can tell you that firsthand. I can tell you that. And your reputation is all you have to stand on in business. And people can see when you're not genuine. They can. And so kindness is first and foremost, literally the most important thing you do in business. And it's treating the person at craft services, the person doing the lighting, the person at the door. It doesn't matter. And people that think otherwise will never, ever, ever last in the business, especially today. In days of past, maybe you can be an asshole. You cannot be an asshole. You have to treat people with kindness, but genuine. And first and foremost, and Peter Lindbergh, I have to tell you, was the best example of that, because he was the kindest, most brilliant photographer. And working with him was such a gift, because the way that he talked to people, the way that he treated people, how gentle he was, how kind he was to every single person on set. No ego, nothing. And I tell anyone that will listen in any position that that's how you win. You will last forever if you are good to people, everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I walk off set and like I like tell the grip and like the lighting team, I'm like, good job today, you guys. Like you killed it. Like, awesome. Because if it weren't them doing epic lighting, like what is my fashion saying? You know, it's
true.
Everyone is so important, and I really like wholeheartedly believe that. And I'm glad you even brought up like, you know, the crafty, the behind the scenes people. Like we're all in it together. There is no one, I don't care you're following or what, there is no one more valuable on the set than anyone else.
It's
like,
true.
Except for the talent that we're all there for.
Fair.
And then I think like giving everything 110%, I feel like I can't tell you how many times I would like, it'd be the end of the day, the last or after like 3 days of like out and about. And I'd be like, oh, do I like need to go there? Like my car is full to the top. Like, do I really need to go? And I can't tell you how many times it'd be the last stop. And that would be the look. Like,
yeah, of course.
And I like, thank God, like I never gave up. I did everything over and above. And to what you were saying, your clients, like you gave them, like you went over and above. And like, I know my clients know that I do that. I know that they know I'm thinking about them all the time, that like when I'm not on a job with them, I'm still thinking about them. And when I do a job, I like work from it from the moment they tell me to like the finish line. Like it's so important because like every detail tells the whole story. And like, I always like leave no rock unturned. And then I think to what you just said about like your reputation, like it's the one thing you can't buy. And once that reputation like is gone, there's nothing you can do to fix it. And I think a lot of people think that this is some race, and they think that because there's Instagram now that like there's this immediate satisfaction that like they can, like they should be at a certain place so fast. And it's like, it's a marathon, and there is no one thing that will like get you to the end. You need every little step along the way, because you learn from every step, and everything that you do, you like learn so much from, and everything you do is valuable. And I just think that you have to like give everything its full like experience, because it will lead to something else. And you have to like understand the longevity of your career if you want a long career.
Yep. Say yes. When
say
you
yes.
are coming up, say yes to everything. Everything.
And I think what's like so crazy is that there were so many times where I like wanted to quit, or I wanted to like give up, because it was an incredibly different time. If you remember, all we had was a website, right? There was no Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
So if I went,
I had a portfolio.
I remember having my printed out book that I would bring into an office. It was
true story.
So different. And if I was so discouraged, because I would go do something great, right? I remember I was working with Douglas Kirtland, who was the last photographer to shoot Marilyn Monroe. We would do these incredible things together. I was shooting I was so young, and we were doing like Vanity Fair, but I had no one to show it to, right? I would do this amazing story, and then there was no platform. It would be in a magazine, great. Like someone would read the magazine, but there was no way to show anyone, like, look what I'm doing and look what I'm capable of doing. So I had to grow my entire business by every time going on set and someone being like, this girl is so great, you should use her. This girl is so great, try her. And that's obviously what happened. Yep. And it would come from the publicist or the makeup person or the assistant, like everything led to something. But it took a really, really long time because there was no platform to show people what you could do.
Yep.
Whereas today, these little girlies are dressing themselves and they're like, look, I'm a stylist, But it was such a long process, and it was really hard, and blood, sweat, and tears. Like my husband was telling me these stories, like, he's like, do you remember? Like literally I checked everything myself and like checked in and out. Like I did everything myself, like I literally grew this entire thing myself. And I don't forget those things. And I think that a lot of people today like are racing, and it's like, chill, it will come. I promise you it will come. If you follow those steps, if you're a good person, if you give it 100%, if you do business the right way, like if you say yes to every opportunity, like your pie will come. I promise.
It's true. But listen, I scream at every mountaintop. You got to do the work. You got to do the work. You have to do the work. And that is the biggest problem with this generation right now. I'm sorry to generalize, but like it's across the board in every industry. And I think to your point, because everyone's looking at highlight reels, right, on social media, and you still have to do the brick by brick. It can be faster than it was for us, but like it's just blood, sweat, and tears at the end of the day. And you have to do it that way because you learn from it, you grow from it. I was taping little taxi receipts and food receipts for like $100,000 wardrobe budgets, and I would turn in like 100 pages of like Xerox paper on both sides with a glue stick of all my expenses. And so I think that those things are the things that shape you. So it's like, to your point, it's like I say to people coming up, it's like those like sort of war wounds are what makes you. Really. And it makes you grateful.
And I read this one quote. It was actually, I think, from like a painter, or no, it was something that was like, it was basically an artist, and he was justifying his rate, right? And he was like, you're not paying for my rate for what I'm doing today and tomorrow. You're paying for everything I have learned along this entire way, and everything that I'm going to like, all of the knowledge that I have at this level to the table. So I feel like when it's like people at our level, I've been doing this for over 15 years. Like when you're asking for a certain rate, it's because like you have so much experience. Like if I know I need something, I know exactly where to get it, how to get it, and the best version of it, because I've done it so many times. And I feel like the younger people, when they like think they should get the same rates as us, I'm like, there are so many experiences that you've never been in that you won't even know how to handle. That like have grace, have patience, like it will come, but it's, I have so many layers of like everything that I've experienced to be to where I am right now.
It's the wisdom. It's the wisdom and I like to say the war wounds. For better, for worse, but they're there. And I think it's what makes us. And I think it's, again, the same in any industry. And I think you have to put it in. And again, the stars stand out, and ultimately you stand out and you're crushing it, and the girls know it, and you love it, and you're doing it. And you're building mega with your mom, which is so beautiful.
If you told me, like, they say, like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Like, and I do think there's something so real, right? Because like the things that, like, if you told me for my clients, I'd be like, you're crazy. Like, it's a dream. I'm living this dream. And then on top of it, like, I consult for this huge company that's incredibly exciting for me. I'm a creative director of this huge company that's exciting for me. And
are we allowed to say what it is or no?
I am a fashion consultant for Sony Pictures.
Amazing.
And I just took on the role of creative director for Joe's Jeans.
Amazing.
And I launched my jewelry brand, and I have a dream styling business. And it's like, it's just so incredible. Because if you had asked me 5 years ago, I would say,
I don't know.
I know I would have said, I would love to creative direct for a brand, and I would love to consult. Like those were, I thought, the next step of things, like a bigger picture project. And I have these bigger picture projects. So it's really incredible to like forecast and to like put your heart into something. And I don't think about it on the daily, but it probably like in the realm,
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I don't know that I ever projected. And I think it's amazing to see that you had that idea that that's what you wanted to do for the next step. And it happened. And I think it's also patience, because it's also not saying tomorrow. Right?
Yeah.
You're saying in my 5 year, I hope to be doing this, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So now I got to set my next 5 year.
I believe it's called manifesting.
Right?
I believe it's called manifesting. I'm trying this. So far, I suck at it, I have to say.
No, but I think it's like, it's things that just like sink into your system. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like you're chasing it. It's not like you're like this. Like if you're looking for it, like it won't happen. It just like you like think about it, you say it, you feel it, and then you like go live it. And I just think that, maybe it's working.
It's working. Dani, it's working. And you're a mama and you're married, and it's all the things. I feel like you're living all the dreams. So pinch yourself now. Pinch yourself now so that you remember that you're living all the things and all the dreams.
What's also so interesting is that I think one of the other reasons of my success is that I don't think about it, is that I don't ever, like, I've never changed. Like, I don't wear makeup. I don't like, I wear flats, like, or I like to wear heels.
You're also like 5'10". So stop.
Yeah. Like I'm so focused on like what I'm doing that I've never thought about the global. I don't think about the clients that way. I just think like, this is my job and I need to go give it 100%. And like, I've never changed in that respect.
You can't.
And
you can't.
That, like, if you start thinking about it, right, you read the comments of this, you could psych yourself out. Like you just have to stay like focused on what you're doing. And I think that that's another reason why, like, I've been able to just keep pushing, is that because I don't think about it. I just stay focused on what I'm doing and like push to the next thing and just keep going, You
got to just do it. You got to live it. You got to be it. You got to do it, and don't overthink it. And to your point, I think, I don't know. The only thing I could say to you is just recognize what's happening, because I never did. I never did.
There's this thing called the imposter syndrome. Do you know what that is?
Yes. I know it well. And I think sometimes we all just feel like that, and we're like, wait, what? And then people say these things too. You're like, huh? What?
Yeah. No, it's very real. It's like very real. And I'm just like, wait, what? Like, you know, like, like I said, if you told me this is my life, I wouldn't believe you. You know, I'm just.
Well, you better believe it, honey, because you are climbing in fucking flats. But you are in your mega jewelry and styling mega supermodels and actors and musicians and all the things and living all your wildest fucking dreams. So I'm happy for you, and I love watching it, and I'm happy I met you, and I'm happy I got to talk to you today. And then we have to have like an offline.
Yeah, this is one of those like pitch me moments. I know that like you do this every day, but really for me, this means so much to like talk to you and to like, I'm like Rachel Zoe knows who I am type feeling. So swear.
I know who you are, and I adore you, and I love what you're doing, and I'm so happy about it. And I have to be honest with you, for me to just see someone that loves it so much, like truthfully, not to sound like a mom, but like that actually fulfills me the most. And to know that I had any part of that from the beginning is just makes me feel like so much is worth what I've been through.
But it wasn't even like that's when street style started, like all of that, you know, like, listen, it all happened at the same time of this perfect storm of like the internet, you know, all of the things at the same time, you know, and you were just at the crux of this, like our business just changed and you were right there in the center of it.
Well, I love it. And I adore you. And I love your passion. I see it coming out of your eyes and your skin and your smile. But I'm just impressed with you. I love what you do. I love how you dress all the girls. I love your collaborations. And I'm excited to just continue to watch you fly and soar and do all the things. It's so good. And know that you have a friend on the sidelines. Thank you so much to Dani for being on the pod today. She is just the real deal. She's as genuine as it comes. And I have to tell you, for the first time in my life, I actually felt like I was talking to myself. It was actually really a bit surreal. Like the way she was answering questions, I literally felt like it was my answers. Like it was actually a bit surreal for me to have this conversation. But I loved it so much because her passion is so genuine. Her work ethic is unparalleled. And, you know, I think so many of her points are so important because when your clients know how much they mean to you and how much you think about them when you're not on the clock, I think that really is what matters. And she works really, really, really hard. I really loved her takeaways about being kind, giving 110%, and keeping your reputation solid gold. I'll see you next week. Mwah.
With the best all-inclusive vacation deals to Mexico and the Caribbean, booking your getaway with Cheap Caribbean Vacations means you have more freedom to do your deal. Whether you want to enjoy snorkeling, endless margaritas, and more, or simply soak up the sun and sand in a tropical paradise, Cheap Caribbean Vacations has your deal for that. Plan and book the exact getaway you want at exactly the right price for you by using our exclusive Budget Beach Finder. Or find a featured all-inclusive package to Ocean by H10 Hotels and do your deal at cheapcaribbean.com.
The Unshakables podcast is kicking off season 2 with an episode you won't want to miss. Join host Ben Walter, CEO of Chase for Business, as he welcomes a very special guest, Chairman and CEO of JP Morgan Chase, Jamie Dimon. Hear about the challenges facing small businesses and some of the moments Jamie has overcome. Listen wherever you get your podcasts. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. Member FDIC. Copyright 2025. JP Morgan Chase & Company.
The new year's here. It's the perfect time to refresh those household essentials and score some cashback rewards with Colgate-Palmolive. From toothpaste to dish soap, chances are you've got Colgate-Palmolive products on your shopping list and in your house right now. We're talking brands like Colgate, Soft Soap, Palmolive, Irish Spring, Fabuloso, and Tom's of Maine. And right now, you can get up to a $10 digital Visa prepaid card when you buy up to $30 of Colgate-Palmolive products. Here's how it works. Spend $20 on their products, get $5. Spend $30, get a $10 reward. All you do is shop your favorite brands, snap a pic of your receipt, and upload it to cprewards.com. It's so easy. That's cprewards.com. So grab what you need, or maybe try something new, and get rewarded just for doing your usual shopping. And start your year fresh by earning cashback rewards with Colgate-Palmolive. Rewards available while supplies last. Limits apply. U.S. only. 1/1/25 through 3/31/25. For full terms and conditions, visit cprewards.com.
Are you still quoting 30-year-old movies? Have you said cool beans in the past 90 days? Do you think Discover isn't widely accepted? If this sounds like you, you're stuck in the past. Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. And every time you make a purchase with your card, you automatically earn cash back. Welcome to the now. It pays to Discover. Learn more at discover.com/creditcard. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.